with this value, right? And there's not really a better time, I could say. There's really not a better time to go ahead and do a training like this than here today, right? Can anybody in the chat go ahead and tell me what happened today within the crypto markets? What happened within the crypto markets here today? I want to see who is paying attention. Or not even paying attention, but who got paid? Who got paid? For those people that been holding on with us, for the past couple months, for those of you that been in Powerhouse, honestly, for a couple months, or even the people that been in a couple weeks, y'all got the plays, and today we just went ahead and created history within the markets. So we just went ahead and hit all-time highs within the markets. And what's crazy is that we went ahead and scheduled this training about a week ago, and the day that we have the training for crypto, the day that we're gonna go ahead and get one of our crypto educators to come on the line is the same day that we have a historic play happen within the crypto market. So it's a complete blessing, again, guys, if y'all been plugging in for a while, y'all are definitely up, a couple 100% on y'all's portfolio. I think we just had about 50% just today, on one of the coins that we called out even just last week. And yeah, we're in for a bullish run and it just started, but today, guys, I have the pleasure to actually bring in somebody on board, that she's been actually in the game for quite a while, over 5 years, going on her 6 year now. I had the pleasure to be able to go on tour across the nation with her. We went ahead and did live trading workshops together. She's been doing the damn thing on leverage, guys. I mean, like, yo, I've seen her snipe Bitcoin. Like, there's not many people that I can say can snipe Bitcoin, especially on the 1 minute time frame with zero drawdown, right? So this is somebody that, I mean, this is literally what she does, and not only that, but she actually, and we're gonna go over it right here, inside of this podcast, that we pretty much have, but she actually has an amazing story as well, that I got to hear and I got to know her a lot more better, and yeah, she's completely goated in the charts, one of the best inside the industry, and with that being said, Nancy, can you go ahead and hear me?
Yeah, we
Hey,
here.
let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Awesome. So, first of all, let's go ahead and introduce you to the rest of the squad. I know that, we toured across the nation. We just did a trading summit, in December, and I don't want to release the news, yet, on the. All right, I'll stay quiet on that one. They'll just have to figure it out later. Um, but I could say that life is bullish, right? That's why she has it like right behind her, so you could tell that she's up right now.
That's real.
Um yeah. Oh shit. See? This is what crypto does to you guys, But go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. I know most of these people are brand new, a couple months in and stuff like that, and they haven't had the pleasure to get to know you. So, I mean, how long have you been inside the industry and how'd you like come in inside this industry? What's been your experience so far?
Okay, so to give myself a little introduction, I've been in this space since 2017. My first experience with the cryptocurrency market was a fat lesson. I got it at the previous all-time high, 19K. I forgot what the price was for ETH. And then I sold at the low. So like very noobish behavior is what we would call it now, but you live and you learn, right?
Yep.
Um, and besides that, guys, I don't know. I like to say that you can see me as either like your big sis, your little sis, your sis that made it out the hood, someone that you don't necessarily have to learn from, but just don't make the same mistakes that I did. Like that's why smart people learn from others' mistakes so that you don't have to pay that price. Like not everyone has to do that. So I
Yep.
know that you've been following Junior for quite some time. You've been following Mike, you've been following Siva, Zach, Jordan, all these people that have been pouring into the community. Just consider me a sister along the path for that. Like if I can help you, I'm going to, because as you guys can see, these markets are abundant. You making money, trust me, does not take away from me making money. We can all make money together.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the blessing about this industry and as a whole, because typically in other industries, it's always like, really like the person at the top is always making the most money. And in here, it's just like, yo, like there's the newest people. We have a student right now that is averaging about like $2,000 in a day. He's only 2 weeks in, and like I would say that's crazy, but in current market conditions, it's just that's kind of what's expected at this point. But I don't want to just talk about the good, like I do want to give people like kind of like a background story. You have a very unique one. And it's for those that don't know, Nancy and Mike are together, they've been together for quite a while. Some people are like, what? No way. That's definitely the Zoom profile picture. But Mike obviously being, one of the best inside this industry as well. I know whenever you came inside the industry, you pretty much had, pretty much that same expectation. And you got to share a little bit about that, inside of the tour, and you had your own path to pretty much pave, and you had pretty much a lot of trials and tribulations that you had to pretty much overcome. So what was like one of the biggest trials and tribulations that you had to overcome within your journey, your first year, 2 years?
Um, One of them, I got a list of them. Uh, I think one of them would be expectations. I'm sure you guys can relate where you come into this and you want to eat the entire world and you want to be like, okay, I want to create financial freedom. I want to help my parents. I want to retire them. I want to help my sister who's struggling, who's a single mom, so on and so forth. Like the list goes on, who doesn't have someone that they want to help. So I think for me, it was just like that desire to want to do something like that, but the results weren't resulting.
Yeah.
Like it was really interesting. And this is why I say like I have a long list because I didn't understand the dynamic. Um, it was expectation of like myself, but it was also external expectations. I joined this and it's kind of weird when you join this and like your then boyfriend is like one of the best educators. And people would come up to me being like 3 weeks into the platform, and they would just like ask me trading questions. And I'm like, dude, I'm on like video two, like give me a break here. So I feel like people had high expectations for me. But honestly, that helped me because it pushed me. Like I had a higher bar that I had to meet. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of use that to be like, okay, well, if Mike can do it and I have proximity to that, I'm going to use that proximity to my biggest advantage. And he wasn't here physically. He was actually living in Puerto Rico at the time when I was first getting started. I was like, oh, great. I sign up and you move. um, but it was exactly what we needed. And actually he gave me the option. A lot of people don't know this, but he gave me the option. He's like, look, if you want to come to Puerto Rico, I'll take care of you economically until you're on your feet and like trading full time basically. And I was like, no, dude, like I appreciate that, but I got to do this on my own. Like I got to go through my own journey. I got to pave my own path and I got to figure it out the way that everyone else does. Like I don't need this like special treatment.
Mhm.
Hindsight, I probably just should have gone to Puerto Rico. But I did learn a lot and I created a community here and it was awesome. Honestly, like for those of you that don't know Tim was living out here. He was in the suburbs. So like I saw him once every couple of weeks. I would invite him to my apartment and be like, hey, help me. And that's what I kind of recommend people to do is like, I think a lot of people are just afraid of asking for help, but use that proximity. Like I see you guys in the chats and you guys have like this friendliness about you. You're like everyone's just kind of like messing with each other, just talking trash all the time. But use that like level of familiarity to actually progress.
Yep.
Because that's what it was. It's just like, okay, cool. Mike isn't here physically. And actually it was, I mean, I don't really care to bring up the past, but like he would be training the Puerto Rico team all day long. He would call me at like 11:30 when he's on it, like about to go to sleep. And like he didn't want to talk about trading anymore. So I wasn't gonna be like, hey, so like, can you help me with a change of structure? No. So honestly, a lot of my beginning learning was watching Mike Miles and Mike on Go Live. No extra like special tutoring or anything like
Mhm.
that. But it worked out because again, I was a product of the product. I just turned on Go Live all the time. Um, yeah, so expectations more than anything, not just for myself, but from other people. And then time management. I was working 3, 4 jobs at the time. So that sucks, but you got to do what you got to do.
Grinder. And one of the things is that you pretty much started off with just day trading, and you transitioned into pretty much crypto, like, and now you're being a crypto educator, educating thousands of people across the world. So like, what was like your first introduction to crypto? Like I think it was during like the last bull market, right? During 2020 COVID markets.
So besides the mistakes that I made for 2017, like my first purchase, this was before I joined the platform, before I even knew about it.
Hmm.
That was like my first experience with crypto. And then, I am before only had FRX. There was no
Yeah.
crypto, there was no stocks, there was no NMX, no social media,
Mhm.
no tools even. Like it was just the harmonic scanner, Chris Terry, and a few
Yeah.
educators. Um, so I learned Forex like everyone else because I was like, okay, cool. Like this is what he's been doing. So I'm going to do that too. And then Zachary, Jordan, and I think Mike too also would do some crypto sessions. But this was before crypto was even mainstream, dude. So like a lot of people don't know this, but that channel was actually taken off because of lack of presence of people. Like people were just not tuning in because nobody freaking knew about crypto. Like nobody knew what a Bitcoin was.
That's
So
crazy.
like I know, right? And it's like, damn, dude, they were so early that people
Hmm.
just weren't hopping on. But those that knew, like if you knew, you knew. And yeah, they were the first official, well, the first non-official crypto channel. And then, they still have their channel. So I think when I transitioned from Forex to crypto, I think it was partially a personal vendetta from the money that I lost and the mistake that I made. And then two, it just makes sense to me. Like the entire world or the concept of Web3, dude, that's so cool to me because you go outside, or you don't even have to go outside, but you just know like how many problems there are in the world.
Yep.
Like corruption, inflation, counterfeit money, money laundering, like the list goes on. So Web3, although it's not perfect, nowhere near perfect, it solves a lot of those things.
Hmm.
And my mind just goes racing in terms of like, where can we implement not even the technology, but just the understanding of the concept? Like where can we be more transparent? Where can people have more privacy? And like I said, you step outside and you see the exact opposite. So I think that's kind of why I lean more towards crypto because I believe in it. It's just like, yes, this is what we should be doing and we have the technology to do it. So why not?
Yep. And I know like well before we even get to the wins, right? Um you had a consistent, you always talk about it, like you had a consistent track record of losses for a minute. I think you did what was it, 90 days? 90 days
Yeah.
of straight L's. So talk about the perseverance, like the mindset that you were pretty much having, because there's some people that are watching this on the other side, and they're probably going through that same thing. They're watching the group chat right now. They're like, yo, that's amazing. Somebody made 2K today. I lost. And you were once that person. We were all once those people, but I think people just don't see that. They just see the flyer, they just see you on the flyer. They're like, oh wow, she's amazing, but they don't know about this. So like what were you thinking back then? What was happening through your head?
So bro, it was okay. So I had 90 days straight, like consecutive, like
Straight of losses every day.
not a single blue in there to be found. I find very impressive. I don't know about you, but like it's almost as if I was trying to lose, but no, I don't know, the market had something against me or whatever. But yeah, that was that. And that was like, guys, I don't wish that type of frustration upon my worst enemy. Like that is, you gotta battle, like you gotta get into a ring with your demons and you gotta like
Yep.
practice the personal development that you've been listening to or whatever. You got to do a lot of shadow work because I think sometimes, at least my experience, it was a combination of a bunch of different things. Like one of my mistakes also, I went from having 4 jobs to going full time when I shouldn't have gone full time. And I don't know how transparent we want to be on this stream, but like I had like
Do it.
20K, 20 something thousand in my savings account. And I moved to Colombia with Mike because the living expenses over there were like, significantly less than Chicago.
Yeah.
But dude, there was a hole in my bank account because that shit just went. It just
Yep.
like leaked out. And I found myself in like a really tight squeeze. And even though I was P6 going on P1, and then I hit P1 in Colombia, just economically, I wasn't doing okay, you know? And like I had never had that happen in my adult life.
Hmm.
I've always made sure that I was really independent, and that's why I had four jobs. um, so that hit, and like I don't know if you guys have ever had that when you just kind of feel like a piece of shit because you can't
Yep.
take care of yourself, and then you think of like all the mistakes that you made to get yourself to that position that you got yourself into, and you know things that you could have done differently and whatnot. So my like self-image, my confidence, a little bit of imposter syndrome. At this point, I wasn't educating, I was just a student, but yeah, it was tough. And then like my mindset, I was just like I was quite literally a negative Nancy. Like I would tell Mike like, look, I'm gonna take this trade, I'm gonna lose it, and he'd like look at me and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I was just like negative all the time. And then he like I asked for help, he sat me down. I remember I think we were in Greece or something, and he's like, yo, we're gonna sit down, or you have your audited account, we're gonna look through it, we're gonna see what's up. And he ripped me to pieces. He's like, look at all these small mistakes that just keep on adding up against you. They're not going in your favor, they're going against you. And small differences make a big difference when you add them together. And I just felt like an idiot. So it didn't help, because I thought I was like, I kind of know what I'm doing, but not really. Because if I did, my MT4 would look differently. So that's that. And then another thing that I think a lot of people don't know, I'm more open talking about it, but back then I was really embarrassed. But I didn't see, guys, I didn't see a single dime out of the markets for over 2.5 years. So like people that are coming into this and asking are getting mad that they don't see money their first month, 60 days, 90 days, even 6 months. Like, I'm sorry, but that ain't shit.
Yep. Hmm.
Imagine just like losing money after losing money and like going into a deep hole and getting into credit card debt. And it was just not a good time. But I mean, we turned ourselves around. And like that's why now I see things from a different lens. And that's why now I talk about reversal patterns. Like, here's the thing, pay attention to what people preach the most, because it's a reason why I preach it. It's not just a reversal pattern in the market, but it's an internal reversal pattern.
Mm.
Sometimes you got to see those lower lows in order to see that change of character that gives you the higher highs and signs of strength, and then gives you the
Um,
mark up the bull run, whatever you want to call it.
yep.
But that shit was not fun. Do not wish it to any student whatsoever. But I think it built tough skin.
Oh yeah.
Dude, if I can go 2.5 years not making a dollar, and I still like, I was still watching go lives every day, multiple. I
Hmm.
was watching 3 go lives every single day, 2.5 years. Every single one of my sessions, I was not only on my laptop, but I was also next to him. I would ask him questions. I would ask other educators questions just to make sure that I wasn't having only one perspective. I would ask them to audit me. I would ask them like, look, check out my markup. Like, what's wrong with it?
Yep.
And I would ask for like, not validation, but constructive criticism. Like,
Yep.
what do you think I can do better? And I think slowly but surely. And then also I was on my own path of like maturing. You know, I was 25, 26, and a lot so older than a lot of you guys. I was reading a lot of books, listening to audios, getting into like meditation and just, again, that shadow work. And I was like, I know that I'm the problem. But because I know that, I cannot argue or I cannot deny that I'm also the solution. So I'm not going to leave it up to somebody else to make money for me.
Yep.
So I got to fix it. I got to fix me.
Hmm. No, yeah. And I mean, and I asked those questions long before even like bringing up obviously the good, because it's like you said, a lot of students come in inside the trading industry, and I think we're going to see a lot of that right now, especially during this bull run.
Mhm.
Like expecting like huge amounts of return, like within your first couple of days or weeks or months or whatever. But they don't know that a lot of us that have been in the game for years, like we had to wait years to just see a single return, like how to build rhino skin. And I say that always fast wins make you soft,
Mhm.
because whenever you bring up a loss, it's kind of like whenever, like, for example, in this bull run, we'll see a lot of big candles to the upside, but there's going to be retracements as well, and that's where the skin is built. Because people are going to be like, oh shit, so asking these questions and, getting those answers from you so important towards somebody that's on the other side of this call and is like, just thinking that everything is just upside movement, for it becoming a trader, because oftentimes you log in on Instagram and you just see the Lambos, you see the lifestyle, you see the traveling, you see everything, and you're just like, wow, like this happens every day. Like, no, like you build up towards that person that, gets that. Um, so now going into, I would say, I believe this is like now 2021 for you. Whenever y'all invested, what was it, into Veracity? It was Veracity, right? The Veracity coin? Yeah. So y'all, it's all about, I always say it's all about positioning and timing in the market,
Mhm.
and if you're able to do that and then execute like y'all did,
Mhm.
it's that one moment that can just change things forever. And I know for you, like you were just talked about 2.5 years of just losses, but in just that moment, everything just shifted.
Yeah.
So like talk about like how y'all found that coin to begin with, and like like how was that bull run like, you know?
That poor one's lit. Um, I mean, dude, imagine watching Bitcoin go from like 40 something hundred, like let's say 4,600 to
Mhm.
65K without fucking stopping.
Yep.
Like there was no deep retracements. And then it retraced and then 69K and euphoria, whatever. But for that, I'm sure you guys know the analogy of the bamboo tree, which is
Mhm.
basically like a bamboo tree grows its roots for months and months and months before you see anything above ground. So you don't above ground, you see nothing. You're like, fuck is wrong with this tree? But it's just growing its roots so deep. And also, fun fact, but trees are social creatures and they have networks of roots. Anyway, but a bamboo tree grows its roots long, far, and sturdy. That's why it's so strong. But you don't see any of that growth above the surface. However, once its roots are deeply rooted, the way that it's supposed to be, in 1 to 3 weeks, it can grow like 30 to 60 meters, 30 to 60 yards, something like that. So it goes 0 to 100, or what appears to be 0 to 100 real quick, but it didn't actually happen like that. There was just a lot of going on under the surface. And that's what I felt like was 2021, 2022, specifically altcoin season, is because, dude, I was 2.5 years, right? Like doing the personal development, doing the analysis, depositing, just back testing, checking my entries, checking my exit strategy, all of that stuff. And then finally, I like that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like a sigh of relief. Like, dude, I needed a win because just the mental torment that you kind of go through on that journey. And here's the thing too, is like you're surrounded by all these people, all these like-minded individuals, right? And everyone's like really happy and high vibes. And I love that. I love that I was around that in energy, but it was also kind of like, damn, dude, I'm around all these great people and I still feel so lonely because I don't know if anyone else can relate to my journey. So maybe someone like that feels like this. But basically, it
Yeah.
was altcoin season. Um, and Bitcoin had been popping off, growing. I forgot what the market cap was because I wasn't nerding out like that back then. I was like, yeah, I was, watching Kurt and Mike and Zach and Jordan, all that stuff, but I wasn't nerding out myself and doing like all my research. But anyway, we moved to Miami. And Johnny, actually, he's here now, coincidentally. He was also moving to Miami because I don't know, we just move in caravans, I guess. And we're helping him move in, and then Mike told me about this token. It had a really small market cap called Veracity, and I look into it, and I'm just like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like before what Veracity was, because it's evolved multiple times. It was basically proof of view, so POV, proof of view. It was supposed to be for kind of like YouTubers, because I don't know if you guys like are into YouTube or like like the back and stuff, but apparently people pay for fake views, and Veracity was kind of the solution for that. So instead of overpaying someone that has inflated views, you pay for real views. That was the technology back then. Now it's different. Now they've gotten into gaming and stuff like that. But anyway, I had some monies and I trusted Mike. And I threw 7K at it. And probably like 2 weeks later, it went up, and then it kept going up, and then it kept going up, and then it kept going up. And I was like, I'm riding this to a million. And it didn't get there. Good times.
And it wasn't just you, that's the thing. Like it was a whole island. It was a whole
Yes.
island of people. Like that's what a lot of you don't know either. Like it wasn't just them winning. It was like they put everybody onto
Mhm.
onto that crypto. Like you just like I just remember seeing like it was like it was like literally like this person made six figures, 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 this person made a million, this person made a million, this person made a million. I'm like, no, there's a glitch. Like, no, they just kept going. Like it was just like every day. Like, yo, like how, like 100 plus six figures, like 100 plus
Yeah.
people that made six
So
figures.
so the bull run was like, dude, our team was growing exponentially. Like you guys know what momentum is. That yes. I'm
Yep.
like, if you think you know what it is now, just wait. Just wait, it's coming. People are gonna get real freaking curious. We're right around the corner. But there was just a lot of people and we put people on. And here's the thing, it also wasn't just hype. It wasn't like get into this meme coin. It wasn't like get into Pepe, get into Doge. Like, yeah, those things were popping off too, but it was just like this thing actually had utility, small market cap. Let's run it. Cool. We ran the play. And the coolest part too is just like it was our inner circle, dude. Like a lot of us have been going through the dry spells, the droughts of just like financial stuff. Like Kevin, Mike's younger brother, Ari, Mike's younger sister, John, his mom put money in. His sister, like, dude, everyone had put money in, and we made something with it. And then on top of that, people took out profit, put into something else. Maybe you did throw a couple hundred from profit into a meme coin, and then that blew up, and people were like losing their mind because it was the first time that we had experienced that ourselves. Like you see people do some dumb numbers, and you're like, nah, dude, that can't be real. But
Yep.
then you do it, and you're like, no way. Like these are just numbers on a screen. This can't be real until
Hmm.
you hit the withdraw and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get taxed on this. But it was awesome, dude. Like, I'm grateful. I didn't take out as much as I wanted to, of course. You can always take out more, but like, dude, I'm forever grateful for that experience because not only did we get to experience it together, we were in Miami, like it was lit. And I also, like I said, we made it out the hood. Like I was able to help my sister get a house in the suburbs. Now she has two twin girls that she can raise healthily, like without having to like look behind your shoulder at night and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's my 6-year-old nephew's in a good school, so it's like that's what makes me the most proud. Is like
Hmm.
we actually made a physical difference aside from just the Lambo
Yeah.
or the.
No, yeah. No, 100%. Like, I mean, because a lot of people just focus on the materialistic stuff, but like, the impact that lives forever is the one that you're able to leave behind on your family, you know? And
Exactly.
I think, and I asked you that question because, I mean, you obviously know we're heading into that same bull season. If anything, you know, multiplied by that, and I think that a lot of people don't really know what's actually coming. And this is the time that you need to get trained on it, like knowing other people's experience from the previous bull market, so that way you know exactly what to do with the money and stuff like that. And now this leads me pretty much to my next question because obviously myself, you, and Mike, we got the opportunity to tour across the nation. We went, we did the workshops, we called out, some cryptos as well, so those people that actually bought in at those times from last year are big up right now. But one thing that we all also like focus on a lot, which this is this is why I tell people like it's all about the mentorship and the guidance and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, like we're not those people that tell people, yeah, you just, diamond hand it, like we have a whole plan of action. And especially you've created a lot of stuff, for the squad, for the community and everything, especially the things that were released over there at the summit in December, and now I pretty much want to get into and pretty much asking you like what's your rule of thumb now, like with as far as like your strategy behind the management when somebody is, like there's a lot of people right now that are up on their portfolio, so what would you recommend them doing, at the moment, or what would you pretty much be your outlook on that?
So some of the lessons that I've carried from 2021 over to, the long accumulation that took 18 months and into kind of where it is that we're sitting at now, and like the mistakes that I refuse to make again because they sting. And some of them are mine, and some of them I just was able to observe. So in terms of like profit, dude, a lot of people made a lot of freaking money. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about multiple seven figures. And I watched them fumble the bag. Like you said, materialistic stuff like buying the chains, buying the cars, having multiple AMGs for no reason. Just like kind of like silly stuff. And I've also seen them go from really high up to broke and I have some money. Like I can't pay my bills type of thing. So like one thing I refuse to do is not get into that desire of like external validation and getting all these toys that are liabilities. They depreciate in value, right? Like immediately you take a car out the lot, depreciates like 20K. But anyway, so that's number one is don't buy liabilities. Like, yes, splurge a little, take it out of profit. If you need a new laptop, cool, that's going to make you money too, and it's a tax deduction. But like besides that, not liabilities. What I wish I would have done more of, obviously, like I said, take profit at the top. I took some, grateful for them, but could have taken out more. And then what I did was I took profit and I put it into other tokens, um, small tokens. So basically, I watched my money go 95% drawdown over the last two something years. Well, the ones allocated to certain tokens and things like that. So just imagine just like throwing money away, just burning it. So I wouldn't do that. Like if you've made profit, good, put it into something that is probably a little bit more conservative, like the blue chips. Maybe you take it out of the crypto space entirely. So this is also why I talk about Wyckoff so much, is like, okay, cool. I'm not here to predict what's going to happen in the crypto space, but once I see distribution and I understand the correlation between total market cap, total two, total three, like I kind of understand the movements in which happen, like the sequence of events, right? Like Bitcoin first, usually total two, and then total three kind of follow. So if that's the case, like if I just took out profit, why would I put it back into something that I think is on the way or in the markdown?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So it's like I'm just going to burn that money. So instead, if we do see or when, it's a kind of matter of when, not if, but when we do see distribution, what I'm going to do is put it into a different asset class. Because here's the thing, there's multiple financial markets. We
Mm-hmm.
got property. You can invest in property. You can invest in like cars. You can kind of turn them into an asset if you're putting them like on Turo or flipping them or things like that. That's not really my forte by any means. But if you want to do like Airbnb, if you want to have long-term tenants, if you want to flip houses, that's a different thing. If you want, like, if I would have just put that money in gold, that
Yeah.
would have been chill. I would have been okay with that. But different asset classes, right? Not recycling into the same one if we think that it's distributing, because what comes after distribution is the markdown. So why would I put it into something that I think is
Mm-hmm.
very probable to go down? So that was another mistake that I made that I refuse to make again. And then, yeah, I think that's basically it. We don't got to make it too complicated. Just like make sure you're not being super silly with your money. Think long term and have that sense of urgency, because we have been, that's the thing, like it's not just a matter of like, oh, this is coming around the corner like all season, but it's like, bro, have you looked at CoinGecko? Like, have you looked at the list of top gainers and things like that? Like some of these have 15x, 25x in the last week or two alone.
Yep.
So it's been happening. It's just a matter of like, okay, I also don't want to fall into FOMO. Oh, this person made 10x. That means I'm late to the party. No, that wasn't your party. You didn't
Yep.
get the invite. Show up to the party that you got the invite to, and
Yep.
then know what to do while you're there.
Yep. No, yeah, and that's very important, because a lot of people, I mean, we can see the FOMO already, but you know, it's definitely not at peak yet, peak FOMO yet. I think we'll probably see peak FOMO in the next couple weeks, months, honestly, you know, and FOMO is a it's one of those feelings that will make you do not rational decisions and then you'll regret it later. Uh,
Mhm.
because not just because the market's overall going up, it doesn't mean that every coin has to go up as well,
Right.
you know, because some obviously don't have utility in the marketplace as well. Now this goes on to my next question, which is transitioning onto this is a very important topic, you know, and this is something that you talk about as well within the summits. But also knowing how much money to distribute into the market is important because a lot of people, especially right now, you know, the Bitcoin just hit all-time highs. They'll be like, oh, like XRP just went up as well today, you know, like 30%. You know, you know, we're gonna have more call outs and you know, like definitely, you know, y'all make sure y'all tune in on Nancy's session on Go Live. But um there you have to have a set percentage or what's your opinion on that, like a set percentage aside that you got to put into these cryptos. Like you can't just be like, okay, I'm going balls deep in this and then you know we're just gonna go all in diamond handed, you know. So
Mhm.
like what's your opinion on that?
No. Just no. Um, Basically, if you can't afford to lose it, don't use it. Like
Boom.
if you're really dependent on this 10xing, I'm
Yep.
sorry, but at least in my experience, when I need it the most is where she messes with me the most.
Exactly.
She can
Hmm.
be super toxic that way. So I say no, it's not worth it. It's not worth the like mental stress. It's not worth the anxiety. It's not worth the lack of peace. Like here's the thing. At least for me, guys, I started to trade because I wanted financial freedom. But if I'm seeking financial freedom while being a slave to the markets or being a slave to, you know, staring at this and hoping that it goes up, then I don't have freedom. I just became a slave to something different. So no. What I would do instead is create a budget, see what the income is, obviously coming in, see what your expenses are going out, see if you can reduce any of them. And if you can't, cool, then just make more money. And then divide things up. Okay, this goes into a high yield savings account, and this is not financial advice by any means, but maybe some of this goes into a high yield savings account. This goes to um, like my crypto. This goes towards maybe stocks. This goes towards something else. You know, just kind of like divide it up and things like that. You do not have to go all in order to make money. Like, can you? Yes, but I find peace or I find my answer by asking this question. Can I live with the worst case scenario? If
Mm.
things don't work out in my favor the way I want them to, because here's the thing, like human beings, we're creatures of habit, one, and two, we're 70% of our decisions that we make are emotional decisions, not logical ones. So like that's how we make mistakes. We're erroneous creatures because of that. And we're it's by design. You can't really change that. You can practice impulse control. You can set up systems to help you out along the way, but it's kind of in our nature. So um, yeah, I would just kind of say like set up an automatic savings account. Just a little bit goes a long way. When you already have that automatic savings account, you can do the same thing with like Coinbase, right? Like not that I'm saying that you have to use Coinbase, but they do have like automatic
Yeah.
purchasing. Oh,
Hmm.
cool. If you want to buy $10 of something, have at it. If you can afford to lose those $10, you know, that's like a Starbucks and a half. So yeah, I wouldn't, knowing what it is that I know now from my last experiences, is I wouldn't go all in without having reserves, without having something that can like kind of be like a safety net.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I wouldn't put myself through that and I wouldn't wish it on anyone else. Not
And
worth it.
now that we're in the subject of all in, um you know, I think you and I, you know, we went all in rather quickly. Um and it kind of you know, we kind of bit a little bit more than we could chew at the time, you know, but we made it work, obviously. But I know this season especially, you know, in the bull market, A lot of people are going to experience a lot of wins. Um, but the thing is sometimes these wins will phase them. They'll be like, oh, well, I just made 5K, this week. This is a lot more than what I make in a month at my job. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quit it. And I'm just gonna become a full-time trader, because this is lit. And we've seen that, like the years that we have inside of this industry, they definitely didn't go in vain. We've seen this countless times, and you even more than me. So what is something that you could go ahead and tell that one person inside of this call that maybe is about to experience that, and you obviously want them to avoid it, or that person that right now is on the call and is like, you know what, like I'm thinking about just going all in into trading, and because I just made a little bit more than what I make in my job this month, and I'm just gonna go all into this. Like, what would you say to that person?
There's just so many variables that I would have to ask, but ultimately to better your situation, right? Like,
Yep.
why do you want to go all in now? Is it because you see more potential here? Absolutely, there's more potential, but like, do we know about the word potential? It's something that hasn't happened yet. So
Yep.
that means it's not real. It hasn't been realized. It's kind of like floating gains, you know? It's just like, oh, this looks really nice. It's lit. But is it consistent? And can I pay for stuff with it consistently? Especially if you have dependents, if you have kids, if you have a dog, if you have, your parents that you want to take care of, again, ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is it doesn't work out. Okay, then what? Do you have a backup plan? Do you have reserves, like 6 to 12 months reserves minimum of your expenses? Again, if you can lower your expenses, all the better. If you can move to a cheaper um, or a lower cost of living like country, cool, have at it.
Yep.
But for the person that wants to go all in after you've had like your first $600 day, $1,000 day, even $3,000 day, like you've had a good day. Let's get more of those.
Yep.
Let's continue to get more because, okay, if you can do that while you have a 9 to 5 or a graveyard shift or whatever it is that you have, imagine what you can do when you continue to have income. You can continue to do the same thing and you can scale. Scalability. I mean, who says it? It might be Warren Buffett. Somebody says it somewhere. But compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world.
Yep.
Scalability, the ability to grow on top of what it is that you already have. We should know by now that trading is not linear. Just
Hmm.
because you made 2K today, it does not mean that you're going to make $2,001 tomorrow. Doesn't mean that you're going to make $1 tomorrow. You could lose money tomorrow, right? It's not linear and nothing is promised. So if you can live with the worst case scenario of 95% retracement, and you have reserves for that, then cool. If you can get another stream of income
Hmm.
and you also leave your job, maybe something that's a little bit more flexible. Again, not financial advice, but if you want to do like Uber, Instacart, nowadays there's so many options that you can do, right? Then cool. Maybe something a little bit more flexible that lets you trade New York session or whatever the case may be. But dropping everything because you see the potential in this, I've been there.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's just really hard. And I mean, not to be like sexist or anything, but I imagine it would be even harder for a guy because protectors,
Yep.
providers, right? Like, luckily, I had someone that was like willing to help me out, but even me, I was just like, I I feel like a failure because I can't pay for rent, or I feel like a failure because I need to buy this flight to get home, but like I don't know how I'm gonna do that, and I have to like ask Mike for 50 bucks. So I don't wish that on anyone. It's not a good feeling. And it's avoidable. So
Hmm.
like here as investors, as traders, we're not here to avoid risk entirely, but we are here to take calculated risk.
Exactly.
So all in sounds like no stop loss, over leveraged. Again, unless you have a calculated risk that you can do that, you have a safety net, you have plan B, you have extra income coming in from different places. Um, sugar daddy. I don't know. But like as long as you got something else happening, that way you can scale and you can be at peace with it instead of stressing over it.
No, yeah, 100%, and it's something that's not really talked upon inside this industry because this industry like of trading and investing, like this facade that is created online,
Right.
like especially when people come in, like they have this false facade where it's just like, oh, okay, cool, like I made 5K, 10K, even 20K, today and like, okay, I'm done, like I'm gonna just do this full time, but it's not always wins, and like I think that's the beauty also in like the community that we have that we created over here, the mentorship that you offer, the mentorship that we all offer here is it's very transparent, it's very like okay, like no, like it's not like okay, go all in, like it's like okay, can you? Like is this really what you want? Like before you make this decision, like just know that there's this price to pay right here. There's like this is what it looks like, and it's not just like sunshine and rainbows, and this leads me, up to pretty much my last question that I have for you. Um and it's to do with like pretty much like I would say like the greatest investment that you can pretty much make it on yourself. It's something that continually you've done as well. One thing that y'all don't even know about Nancy as well is that I mean she's in the position that she's in also because she continually educates herself each and every single day. And that's probably like the best investment that you can possibly ever do. One of the reasons that like you said, I mean in 2021, you know, you and a bunch of other people, hundreds and thousands of other people, made money. But there was only a few of you that kept the money and scaled after that and created your lifestyle even better throughout the years. But the ones that did were the ones that continually educated themselves and continually progressed themselves. So, talk about like really the longevity as far as like continually developing yourself and continually educating yourself and how that plays a big role, like pretty much throughout your journey.
I mean, it's exactly that. And maybe I'm gonna answer your question with another question. What do you think about this? I feel like a lot of people come into this and they try to skip levels. Would you agree?
Exactly. Hmm. Yep.
It's not a matter of skipping levels, it's a matter of mastering them. And
Mm.
we've seen people skip levels in terms of finances, go from broke to millionaire. I'm not even like exaggerating, but how are you with money management?
Yep.
It's one thing to make money, it's another thing to keep it, and a third thing to multiply what it is that you already have.
Hmm.
So can you do all those? Can you master each of those levels? Okay, I've mastered, I'm just speaking hypothetically. I've mastered the money making level. Okay, cool, great. Let's go to the money multiplying level. All right, awesome. Working on it, working on it, working on it, working on it. Can I go to the money maintenance level? Keeping what it is that you have, not, like not being done with it, not fumbling the bag, not just getting wild. So yeah, I would say it's, I forgot what the question was, but um, what was the question?
Continue education, continually educating yourself. How does that play a major role in your results?
Yeah, and also like don't rush that process. It's a beautiful process.
Hmm.
Like I still watch go lives to this day. Like I watch my friends educate them. I think it's I think it's a sign of an ignorant mind to be closed-minded to learning from your friends because
Yep.
you can learn from everyone. In fact, like I learn from my enemies. Like grateful, right? Like we're going to keep our distance, but I learn from them. Um, and take your time with it because I heard this from like Esther Hicks while I was going through it. But she said, the longer it takes, the more fun I get to have. And I'm just like, this like I don't agree entirely, but it's just a perspective. Like you
Yep.
change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So if you're kind of going through that, I don't know how many people here have been in for over 12 months, year and a half, things like that. But the longer it takes, the more fun I have, the more experience I get to put in my tool belt, the more stories I get to listen to, the more perspectives I get to add to my arsenal and things like that. And there's also this there's a Navy SEAL quote, I believe. And it goes like slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Mm.
So going back to the whole skipping levels thing, I've seen people go from 0 to 100 real quick and then they don't know what to do with it. So they start from 0 again. And then the same thing. And here's another thing. There's this thing called, I think, Cocoon. I'm not entirely sure. I might be mispronouncing that, but it's an like ancient concept that you will continue to repeat the same lesson
Mm.
until you learn from it.
Yep.
So, okay, if I'd rather not do that, I very much rather not do that, right? Like cycle for cycle for cycle, just fumbling. No, like that doesn't sound like a good time. No matter what Esther Hicks says. But if I'm gonna learn this lesson, then let me take my time and
Mm.
let me really observe what it is that I gotta observe and learn what it is what I gotta learn. Like I'm sure it's the same thing with you, like throughout the last 4 or 5 years, where it's just like, okay, well, I can do what everyone else is doing, and I can pretend that the grass is greener on the other side, or I can water my own grass, and I can learn about soil, and I can learn how to nurture that soil, and I can learn what kind of water it needs, or how much water it needs, and how much sunlight it's getting, and I can grow my own damn garden
Yep.
because that garden, my neighbor's garden, isn't going to feed me anyway.
Yep.
Whatever. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. Like slow is smooth and smooth is fast, because then you'll make less mistakes and you'll have to start all over less. It's more gradual. It's not as much of a roller coaster. So for those of you that are adrenaline junkies, you might not get like that dopamine right off the rip, but it's more consistent. And when I'm talking about the, not just the legacy of my family, but the, what's the word I'm thinking of? The quality of life of my family, I want to make sure that I do it right. In Spanish, there's this saying that says, se hace bien o no se hace.
Yep.
So let's, like, you do it right or you don't do it at all. So let's do
Mm.
it right. And like, I'm not saying that you can't have fun with these altcoins. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just like there's a certain way to do it. Bob Proctor talks about that all the time. And
Mm.
like, also, here's the thing, guys. We're about to get to convention, right? We're like 25 days away from convention.
Mm.
There's going to be a lot of people that have, these experiences under their tool belt that you can learn from, right? Someone smart learns from their own experiences, but a wise person learns from the experience of somebody else. So you can go up to them and for this is financial advice. Ask questions. Like ask them what their biggest lesson was. Ask them what they wish that everybody knew or practiced or something like that. Just ask questions because something there is probably going to click. But what was I going to say? With convention coming up, you get to have that proximity and you get to take action and you get to do things a certain way. And one of the best investments that I've made, let me give you guys, I don't know how this worked. I don't know if it's coincidence or correlation or miracle or luck, whatever it is that you want to call it. I still haven't figured it out. I'm just grateful that it happened. But some of those biggest blessings, whether it be like VRA or other tokens, actually, I got a few stories about conventions, but a few of those that hit, right? It was after I made an investment in myself. Like
Mm.
I'm not fronting, I'm not fucking with y'all, but I mean, I think Mike and I have talked about this, but we spent 10 racks on Bob Proctor mentorship,
Mm.
just watching videos of Bob Proctor, practicing it every single day, listening to it twice a day. It was repetitive. It was meticulous. It was sometimes like, damn, I have so much other stuff to do, but I got to do this because I got to do it, right? Call it a coincidence or whatever it is that you want to call it. But 2 weeks after I made the biggest investment of my life of $10,000 to pay for a mentorship from Bob Proctor, which was actually just recorded videos. I didn't actually get to speak to Bob. But nonetheless, like I was afraid to let that money go, right? And they say that you can't be open to receiving with a closed fist. And I was like afraid to let my money go. I was like, damn, dude, like I don't really have money like that. Like this is the last like 12K that I have. How am I gonna spend that? It wasn't actually like that, but 10K was a lot. And we did it. What a coincidence that 2 weeks after that, we made, at least me, I don't know what Mike made. A lot. So think of that as my tight stop loss, big risk to reward ratio. And the thing is that I was the only thing standing in my way. So
Mm.
imagine if I would have done that 2.5 years earlier. Imagine if I would have unclenched my fist, which sometimes we just got to do. I was the only thing stopping me. And I'll be damned if I continue to let that happen. So now, if there's a time where I can invest in my education and I believe that it's genuinely going to help me, that's what I'll go all in on.
Yep.
Is the, what's the word? The genuine commitment. Maybe it's not going to be a for life thing because some of those are also going to fail. Like, Actually, during accumulation, so like a year ago, I made another investment into more education. And I was like, damn, dude, this, and it was a $7,000 and it was in crypto. I paid in crypto. It was like 7K. And I was like, damn, dude, I could just put this in something else. And, we're in accumulation. I know what comes next, but I let it go. And honestly, with that one, nothing happened. I wish I would have just kept the 7K, but at least I had to give it a try. I had to give it a go. And like, that's something I don't regret. Like, for those of you that went to break the code with Alex Morton, what, last year and a half ago, whatever that was,
Yeah, that's true.
like, dude, we learned so much. We learned from Ed Milet. We listened to Gary Brecka.
Hmm.
Like, life is a little bit different because of just a few simple things that we heard here and there.
Yep.
So in terms of education, that's where I take my time. That's where I make sure that it's quality over quantity. That's why I make sure that I make a commitment and I give it a genuine go. If it's not for me, cool, I let it go. 7K. All right, cool. Make that back somewhere else.
Yep.
But if it has to do with my growth, I'm not going to be cheap when it comes to my growth. What do I look like? It's just like, we're not going to be here getting some bootleg ass stuff. We're going to make
Yep.
sure it's quality. Because if that's what your standard is, that's what it is that we want to receive, then that's what it is that you got to give. The universe operates in dynamic exchange. Literally, this book right here says you cannot want everything for nothing, or you cannot want anything for nothing. You got to pay
Mhm.
the price. So we're coming up to convention. Maybe I'd say that's a low ticket
Oh,
price.
it is. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's your opportunity to ask questions and get proximity to people and see what it is that they learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I'm glad you said that because a lot of people don't really understand what it means to really invest into educating yourself because, we're blessed. Blessed to be able to say, that all of you, get access to all this,
Mhm.
for $200, bro. Like, it's crazy. But, in real life, you want guidance, you want mentorship, like you're gonna have to exchange in money for somebody else's time, their energy and stuff like that. Like, because that's what it is. It's like Alex Hormozy, which we both study, like talks about that. It's like if you're not making $1 million and you're making 50 grand a year, it's costing you $950,000 per year to not learn how to make $1 million. Because if you already knew how to make $1 million, then you would already have it. So I'm glad that we pretty much finished up everything with that. And I appreciate you for your time. I know that I'll see you here in the next couple of days out here for Dallas. And then we'll be pretty much hitting all the cities together. Then we'll pretty much be out there in convention here in the next 3 weeks. So, other than that, again, I appreciate you, Nancy, for all of you inside this call. If you learned anything, which I sure hope you did, in this past hour. If not, shame on you. But if you learned anything, what I want you to do is go ahead and drop that clicking moment in the powerhouse chat and go ahead and at Nancy or tag her on Instagram. But other than that, y'all stay blessed. And once again, appreciate you, Nancy. Let's run it up.